No good story goes as planned, and I had a game plan for these Thumbprint peanut butter and jelly cookies. I was gonna put the Thumbprint in, I was gonna put the jelly in there, and it was gonna bake and look beautiful, just like the little pictures that I had in my thumbnails. But no good story goes the way that you want it to. This is what we ended up with. I'm gonna break it down, and let's do it today on Sweetly Savory.
This recipe I adapted from one that I found on PBS's website for flourless peanut butter cookies. And I really love this recipe because it's super simple. It's just a few ingredients. So what you're gonna need is half a cup or a little bit more if you like extra sweetness of sugar, because this recipe originally calls for coconut sugar, which is gonna be sweeter than regular white cane sugar like we have here. It's gonna call for throwing all of your measuring cups on the ground and then getting a cup of peanut butter. Next will be 1 teaspoon of baking soda for the leavening or rising agent. Always make sure to get the right one from your cupboard. Then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Half teaspoon salt. I used coarse sea salt to help the flavors pop here. Can't forget that egg. Then add everything to a mixing bowl and combine. But an extra step I find helps to avoid a gloopy mess when mixing is to beat the egg beforehand. Beat the batter till it's stiff. This may take a few minutes, but once it's staying up like mountains, you're gonna be good to go. Time for a little cleanup montage and set up for the cookie tray assembly. Now this recipe says to make 12 balls, not what size specifically. So I played around with this batch and came up with this size. The quality of the shot isn't so hot, but you get the idea. In the end, I got 16 cookies on the smaller side. And for this batch, I pressed my thumb into the cookies and spooned in raspberry jam for each one. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius, and the recipe says to bake for 8 to 10 minutes. Keep in mind that this is just for the basic recipe. We'll need to adapt that later. I like to use this time for cleanup, otherwise I'll be binging on other cooking shows. And one that I recommend to watch is my Let's Make playlist, filled with shorts. Great ideas for when you're short on time to watch. After checking my first batch at 8 minutes, I found they weren't quite done, so I let them go for another couple minutes. And as soon as I started to move them around, they were breaking. Well, thinking they needed more time on the clock, I added another 5 minutes. Unfortunately, this didn't change things, so I took them out and went back to the drawing board. So I started again with the same basic peanut butter cookie recipe. The major change that I made in this version was to grease my pan with a little bit of Crisco and make the cookies a bit bigger, about the size of golf balls. And before putting any jam into the cookies this time,
That's a problem.
I stuck those cookies into the oven and decided to cook down my jam.
I'll just use what's left here.
Unfortunately, I don't have any measurements for this piece because I just kind of used what I had in my fridge. But the concept is to cook down the jam and add sparingly amount of flour to get it to thicken.
Throw it away like yesterday's jam. Yesterday's jam.
Now, as you continue to heat your jam in the pot, it'll bubble and add little bits of flour, stirring with a whisk and moving around the pot, just keeping an eye on it. I think about 10 minutes had gone by at this point, and it looked pretty thick. That jam had cooked down, and if it had been on the back of a spoon, it would have definitely coated it. Came out more like toffee. So the cookies were done. They didn't have that thumbprint that I thought they would, but you win some, you lose some. At least there would be a spot for the jam to sit. So I transferred them to the cookie rack to cool. And I tried and tried and tried different implements to get that jam out. And boy, was that jam sticky. I even tried to reheat it a little bit, see if I could loosen it up. And it worked, but not for long. And that brings us to where we are now.
You know, home baking isn't always what you expect it to be. And as embarrassing and not camera friendly as it is, it's good to always see that there is a side behind it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and taste these because they certainly are delicious. Looks aren't always everything. This peanut butter cookie recipe is so simple. And the jam really helps to cut the cookie itself. Even though it's sweet, it brings a little bit of moisture and clearly baked through the whole cookie. This second method of cooking down the jam, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a taste. I haven't yet. And you can see that it's a lot stickier. It was kind of like candy, putting the jam on there. Oh my god. Oh, it's like toffee. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. But this recipe really needs some work. Oh my god. I think I cooked it down too much. Oh well. Making something just like on the fly, it doesn't always come out the way that you want it to. And in the end, I did have a lot of fun with this. Because I knew that I was just kind of winging it. I wasn't like, I had a plan, but it didn't go the way that it should have, but that's life. But I hope you really enjoyed this episode of Sweetly Savory. If you have any tips on how to not make this jam so candy-like, possibly, make sure to leave comments down below. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Can leave links down in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to Sweetly Savory if you haven't already, so you can watch the trials and tribulations and tales of all of the baking. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.